I promise to keep this under an hour. The homily part. I don't know about the rest of the man. I got notes to keep me on track. Lent is a strange word. It comes from the Old English word that means lengthen. And it refers to a time when people would start to see longer days. And during those longer days, when it would be a little bit brighter each day, they started to notice things in their house. Dirt in the corner, cobwebs, things like that. And they would start to spring clean. They'd start to get rid of the dirt and the junk. And they'd start fresh. A new day has begun. They would begin afresh. So the church has taken that word, Lent, to lengthen, and invites us also to start afresh, to begin a new day. I don't know about you, but I have a little routine that I go through most Saturdays. My routine is I like to get up. I like to drink very strong coffee because I really can't operate without a really strong cup of coffee. I'm actually much better with coffee than without it. It's a horrible sight if I don't have coffee. It's even worse if there's no hazelnut creamer. You don't want to see that. You don't. It's like the Incredible Hulk on steroids. It's a bad sight. And I normally then do my chores around my house. I vacuum and I dust and I do my laundry for the week and I get my trash ready for going out on Tuesday and all those kinds of things. Nice little Saturday plan for me. Doing little jobs like that. And then I do my grocery shopping and decide what I might eat that afternoon and stuff like that and what's going to happen for the rest of the weekend. And kind of get myself organized. Well, this weekend, a spanner was thrown into the works. See, I've been going up to Blue Cloud in Martin, South Dakota. I got there for spiritual direction and I spent the weekend with the monks and I decided to go up on Friday. Well, when you go up on Friday, it kind of ruins your Saturday morning because those guys, for some unknown reason, like to get up at like 6 in the morning. Who knew that God was awake at 6? We never learned that in seminary. They never told us. I was always told that God didn't hear prayers until after 9. So he'd had a strong cup of coffee too. And so I was up there and I had spiritual direction and I came back yesterday and then another thing was thrown into the mix. We sprung forward. We lost an hour. So I'm like, oh, you know, I've got Mass tomorrow and I know some people were going to come over and visit me from different places and I thought, well, I better do my little cleanup around the house. And so I'm there last night and I'm tidying things up and then I'm looking, I see I've done a little bit of painting in my bathroom and anyone who knows my painting skills, they like my coloring skills, I don't stay within the lines. So I thought I better touch up. I don't want people to see that I, you know, have red paint on my bathtub. It's supposed to be on the wall. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, we lose an hour. I better put my phone forward, because I use that as my alarm clock. Put my phone forward an hour. Well, you know what? It's called a smartphone, but it's really dumb. I couldn't figure it. How do you put it forward? So I think, well, I better find the instruction book. Well, I couldn't find the instruction book. Little did I know that this smartphone automatically does it. It does it itself. It didn't tell me it was going to do it itself. So I'm thinking, because I'm, 3 cups of coffee and 1 o'clock in the morning at this stage, red paint on my hand, thinking, you know what, if I set my alarm for an hour earlier, then when it does come, I'll be up at the right time. So if I want to get up at 7, I'll set it to 6, and it'll go off at 8. Follow the logic? Yeah, I was up at 5. 7 cups of coffee. I needed that little instruction book. I didn't realize the clock, through the night, was going to reset itself. It was going to put itself at the right time, and so the alarm I set went off at the time that I set it for. So there I was, up. I needed a little instruction book just to tell me that. And don't we need that in the church? As we journey through Lent, we need a little instruction book. We want to know what to do and how to do it. Life would be so much easier if someone said, Here are the rules. Follow them. But we do. We have that little instruction book. We heard it in our first reading, the 10 Commandments. Jesus gave us his instructions on how we should live. But it's tough. I've discovered that life is tough. Life is hard to get along with. Life has challenges. And in those challenges, we often forget that little instruction book that Jesus gives us. We fall back into our own sinful ways. And we need to constantly turn back to God. To constantly turn back to him and say, Lord, I have not quite done it right. I've not quite got there. I need to continue to learn. When I came out of seminary 11, 12 years ago, I had all of the answers. Some of you remember that from when I was here. I knew it all. There was nothing you could teach me. And yet I discovered as I journeyed through life that I really know nothing. I need to constantly look back at the instruction book. I need to constantly look back and say, how do I do this? How do I do this now with these people? I know I did it that way with those people, but how can I do it now, today? Sometimes life is frustrating, and it makes us angry. Jesus got angry today. Goes into the temple. Can you imagine coming in here with a big whip? I thought about doing this. Get the big whip. Indiana Jones. That kind of stuff. But I got a sore knee. I fell over a Hot Wheels. It's not been the same ever since. Jesus was angry, and it's like, what's Jesus trying to tell us in that anger? Why was he angry? Wouldn't it be easy if we could go back with the film crew and say to him, Jesus, why were you angry? Tell us a little bit about it. I thought about that as I was driving, especially yesterday, driving back from South Dakota, and thinking, why was Jesus angry? Surely anger isn't something we should have. We should all be nice. We should all get along. We should all be pleasant. Why is he angry? What was he angry at? He was angry at the fact that people were being prevented from getting close to God. There was all kinds of things put in the way. The money changers. They were needed because they had to change the dirty money of the Roman Empire into the clean money of the temple. The people selling doves were needed because they needed to have something to sacrifice. Jesus hadn't been the sacrifice yet. We don't need to bring dogs or oxen or cattle here to church because Jesus is our sacrifice. He has done it once and for all for us. But he cleared them out. He had his own spring cleaning. Because he wanted people to focus on what was real. And what's real is that each and every day that we get up, God gives us a new chance to learn. He gives us a new chance to learn how to be. And God calls us to be radical Christians. He calls us to follow the gospel with our entire life. To say yes each and every day to that new day that God has called us to be. And it's a difficult challenge. We often sugarcoat it and make it look good. Well, I can be a Christian today as long as everyone else is nice around me. So how do we deal with that anger? There's been many times over these last number of years that I've been very angry. And I've had to learn to forgive. And that's the key. Forgiveness. Forgiveness liberates the soul. It makes us free. It gives us the ability to climb higher than we've ever been. And it inspires us to be more than we were before. It gives us the ability to overcome adversity, to overcome anything that's going on in our life. It gives us the ability to move on. And that's the message of Lent. Moving on. I was reading an article once called Sidewalk Theologian. It's about a girl who had been very badly abused by her father, sexually abused by her father, her and her siblings. And she was talking to a woman at a St. Vincent de Paul store. She was getting some clothes. She couldn't understand why this woman was being so nice to her. And the woman got talking about the story, this girl's story. She told her about the abuse and the hurt. And the woman said, well, how did you get over it? She said, I had to heal. I had to forgive. Well, how did you forgive such a horrible thing that happened? She said, oh, I didn't do it. Jesus did it. Jesus did it because I had to realize that only God can forgive. I can't forgive. Even Jesus, the human being, couldn't forgive. As he hung on the cross, he didn't say, I forgive you for what you've done. I don't care to that they're mocking me. I forgive you. He turned and he said, Father, forgive them. Father, forgive them. He handed it over to God. And God forgave. And you know, this is the sticking point. I didn't like this next bit of the story. And I remember arguing with my spiritual director, Father Thomas, and telling him he's a crazy monk. He lived in the hills way too long. Because he said then, once you've given it over to God, you can't have it back. But I want to hold that grudge. I want you to know how much I've hurt, or how much you've hurt me. I want you to understand what's going on in my life. I want to get vengeance. But you got to hand it over in order to heal. And the only way to heal is to let God forgive. And when you let God forgive, you yourself experience forgiveness. Forgiveness is the most powerful weapon you will ever have. To be able to move forward, to let go of whatever happened in the past. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're moving forward. We're journeying together. And so Lent is a time for us to journey. I want to share as a way of finishing a poem I came across. I've had it for many years. It was written by an inmate on death row in San Quentin prison in California. And it's called, I've Learned. And I reread this the other day, and I thought, wow, what a powerful statement. To understand what we've learned, and to be able to use that knowledge for good. To understand that when we ask God to forgive, we are empowered with His forgiveness, and we are set free. We have the greatest freedom ever known. I've learned that no matter what happens or how bad it seems today, life goes on. You know, it will be better tomorrow. I've learned that you can tell a lot about a person by the way he or she handles these three things. A rainy day, lost luggage, tangled Christmas lights. I just throw mine out. So cheap. I've learned that regardless of your relationship with your parents, you'll miss them when they're gone from your life. I've learned that making a living is not the same as making a life. I've learned that life sometimes gives you a second chance. Always take that second chance. I've learned that you should go through life with catches. You shouldn't go through life with catches meant on both hands. You need to be able to throw something back once in a while. I've learned that if you pursue happiness, it will elude you. But if you focus on your family, your friends, the needs of others, your work, and doing the very best you can, happiness will always find you. And I've learned that whenever I decide something with an open heart, I usually make the right decision. I've learned that even when I have pains, I do not have to be one. And I've learned that every day you should reach out and touch someone. People love that human touch, holding hands, a warm hug, or just a friendly pat on the back. I've learned that you should pass this on to someone you care about. And I've just passed it on to all of you, because I care about all of you. Sometimes they just need a little something to make them smile. People will forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Today we celebrate this third Sunday of Lent. Let us celebrate the forgiveness that God has given us, and let us journey towards the cross, and ultimately towards resurrection. Got it? Get it? Do it. Let us stand.